The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not the kind of cold that chills your skin, but the kind that seeps into your bones, numbing everything until you can't tell whether it's pain or just emptiness. Across the polished oak table, my wife, no ex-wife, sat with perfect posture, chin tilted, lips painted the color of arrogance. Elena was glowing, triumphant, dressed in a tailored navy suit that whispered money and power. She didn't look like the woman I used to wake up next to, the one who laughed in my oversized t-shirts and smelled faintly of coffee and lavender. That woman was gone. The judge asked another procedural question, something about division of assets. I didn't hear. I was too busy watching her smile. That small, practiced curve that once made me feel like the luckiest man alive. Now it made me sick. Mr. Hayes, the judge repeated, do you agree to the settlement terms? I swallowed, my throat raw. Yes, Your Honor. Elena's attorney, a sleek man with a predatory calm, slid the documents across the table. Her gaze met mine briefly, cold, detached. There was no remorse, no hesitation, just satisfaction. When the pen touched the paper, I thought of the first time she signed something with that same confidence. The day she signed the contract that made her CEO. I was there cheering her on, proud. She'd worked for everything she had. I thought we had worked for it together. But that was before I found the texts, before the photos, before I realized that every late night at work was spent with her vice president, the same man who now sat 3 rows behind her, pretending not to watch. The ink bled into my signature like a wound spreading wider. Congratulations, Mrs. Hayes, her lawyer said softly. Ms., she corrected without looking at me. I'll be going back to my maiden name. Course she would. The final act of erasing me. The judge's gavel came down like a gunshot. Divorce finalized. Elena stood immediately, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She adjusted her jacket, straightened her papers, and said the words that would echo in my head long after she walked away. You'll never touch my money again. The courtroom fell silent. Even her lawyer looked uncomfortable. She smiled, cold, victorious, merciless. And that's when I laughed. Not a cruel laugh. Not even bitter. Just tired. Elena, I said, my voice steady but quiet enough to make her lean forward. You're right. I won't touch your money again. Her brow twitched, a small crack in her composure. Because I don't need to. Her eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? I rose slowly, pushing my chair back. For the first time in months, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel broken. I felt like someone who had finally stopped bleeding. You should probably check your company's acquisition paperwork, I said, slipping my hands into my pockets. Specifically, the clause about intellectual property. She blinked, confused. The one that says any intellectual property developed during the partnership with Hayes Consulting remains under shared ownership. Her face paled. Because Hayes Consulting, my tiny, nearly invisible firm, had been the one to design the algorithm that skyrocketed her company's value before the merger. She'd insisted I sell the rights years ago when money was tight, and I, ever the supportive husband, agreed. But she never checked the small print I'd quietly added. Safety clause. Lifeline. The lawyer turned toward her, whispering frantically. Her perfectly painted nails gripped the edge of the table. Elena, I said softly, leaning close enough for only her to hear. You've been using my algorithm to double your profits for 2 years. Which means you've been violating the contract. So technically, half of your company's worth still belongs to me. The silence that followed was suffocating. I didn't stay to see her reaction. As I walked out, the sound of her voice cracked behind me, sharp, desperate. Michael, wait. I didn't turn around. Not once. Outside, the autumn air hit my face like freedom. The city felt alive again. The hum of traffic, the chatter of strangers, the faint smell of rain on concrete. For months, I'd lived in her shadow, clinging to the idea of what we used to be. But betrayal has a way of stripping illusions. She wasn't the woman I married. And maybe I wasn't the man she wanted. But in the end, she'd taught me something priceless. Love built on control isn't love at all. I reached the courthouse steps and stopped. My phone buzzed, A message from my lawyer. Contract confirmed. Will file for enforcement today. You'll have control of your shares within a month. A smile tugged at my lips. Not a vengeful one. Just relief. Some people win by destroying others. I'd win by walking away, whole, wiser, free. Behind me, the courthouse doors slammed open. I didn't have to look to know it was her. I could feel her fury, her disbelief, the shattering of that perfect composure. Kept walking. Each step felt lighter. Because for the first time since the night I discovered her betrayal, I wasn't drowning in anger or heartbreak. I was done. And as the wind carried the last echoes of her voice, I realized something. The real victory wasn't in taking back what she owed me. It was in knowing I'd finally stopped giving her everything she didn't deserve.